The little girl was sleeping on a pile of trash in broad daylight on Christmas Eve, surrounded by cold winds and the noise of a busy city. People walked past without stopping. Cars rushed by. Shoppers carried bags full of gifts and decorations. Yet among all the holiday joy, one tiny child lay curled up beside a dumpster, holding a worn-out stuffed rabbit close to her chest. What happened next would change two lives forever. Before we begin, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Lifeline Corner if you believe kindness and second chances can change someone's destiny. Your support helps spread stories that inspire hope and compassion around the world. Alden Mercer was one of the most successful CEOs in the city. At only 38 years old, he had built a technology company worth millions. His name appeared in business magazines, and his face was known throughout the corporate world. But behind the expensive suits, luxury cars, and towering office building was a man carrying a deep emptiness. 3 years earlier, Alden had lost his wife during a sudden illness. Since then, he had devoted himself to raising his 7-year-old son, Rowan. Although he loved his son more than anything, balancing fatherhood and leadership often felt overwhelming. Christmas had become especially painful because it reminded him of everything he had lost. That Christmas Eve morning, Alden left a company charity event earlier than expected. The bright decorations and cheerful music only intensified the loneliness in his heart. Wanting a moment alone before returning home to Rowan, he decided to walk through an older part of the city. The streets were crowded with people preparing for holiday celebrations. Store windows sparkled with lights, and children laughed while pointing at Christmas displays. Yet as Alden turned down a narrow side street, he noticed something that immediately stopped him. Near a large dumpster behind a closed grocery store, a small figure lay sleeping on top of flattened cardboard and discarded bags. At first, he thought he was imagining it, then he looked closer. It was a little girl. Her coat was several sizes too large. Her shoes were torn. Her cheeks were pale from the cold. Despite the uncomfortable surroundings, exhaustion had pulled her into a deep sleep. For several seconds, Alden simply stood there, his heart tightened. The sight reminded him of how vulnerable children truly were. Carefully approaching, he noticed something else. Clutched in her tiny hand was a faded photograph. A sudden gust of wind caused the photo to slip loose. Alden picked it up. The image showed a young woman smiling while holding a baby. Something about the woman's face felt strangely familiar. Before he could think further, the little girl slowly opened her eyes. Fear immediately appeared on her face. Years of hardship had clearly taught her not to trust strangers. Alden gently introduced himself and offered her a warm meal. The girl hesitated before finally nodding. Her name was Marisol. At a nearby cafe, she ate as though she had not seen a proper meal in days. Alden watched quietly, trying not to overwhelm her with questions. Eventually, pieces of her story emerged. Her mother had disappeared several weeks earlier after leaving to find work. Since then, Marisol had been surviving alone. She stayed wherever she could find shelter and protected the photograph because it was the only thing she had left of her mother. Alden felt sick hearing that no child should have to face such circumstances. Determined to help, he contacted local shelters and social services. But because it was Christmas Eve, many offices were operating with limited staff. Finding immediate answers proved difficult. Rather than leaving her alone, Alden brought Marisol to his home temporarily while proper arrangements were made. When Rowan met her, something remarkable happened. Despite their different backgrounds, the two children connected almost instantly. For the first time in years, laughter echoed through the house in a way Alden had not heard since his wife was alive. That evening, while the children decorated cookies together, Alden found himself staring again at the photograph Marisol carried. The woman's face continued to bother him. Then suddenly, realization struck. He rushed to his study and opened an old storage box containing documents from years earlier. Inside were photographs from his university days. His hands began trembling. There she was, the same woman, older now in Marisol's photograph, but unmistakably the same person. Her name was Celeste Navarro. Alden had known her many years ago. Back then, Celeste worked part-time at the university library. She was kind, hard-working, and dreamed of becoming a teacher. They had been close friends before life carried them in different directions. Unable to ignore the connection, Alden spent the next several days searching for information. what he discovered left him stunned. After leaving university, Celeste's life had become a series of tragedies. Financial hardship, medical debt, and personal loss had gradually pushed her into poverty. Records showed that she had struggled for years to support her daughter, yet the most shocking discovery was hidden inside an old envelope found among archived documents. Years earlier, Celeste had written a letter to a charitable foundation seeking assistance. That foundation had later become part of Alden's own company outreach program. The request had never reached him. It had been denied by lower-level administrators. The amount she requested was small. An amount Alden could have provided without hesitation. For a long time, he sat silently in his office. The realization hit him like a storm. Someone he once knew had spent years struggling while he remained completely unaware. The guilt weighed heavily on him, but there was still one urgent question: where was Celeste now? Days of searching eventually led investigators to a hospital in a neighboring city. Celeste had been admitted after collapsing from exhaustion and illness while desperately searching for work. When Alden arrived, he barely recognized her. Life had been cruel, yet when she saw Marisol standing beside him, tears immediately filled her eyes. Mother and daughter embraced so tightly that everyone in the room became emotional. It was the kind of reunion few people ever forget. Celeste later explained everything. She had never abandoned Marisol. She had been trying to secure employment and temporary housing. Unexpected medical complications had left her hospitalized and unable to contact her daughter. Every day she worried, every day she searched, and every day she feared she would never see her child again. As Alden listened, he realized how easily circumstances can push good people into impossible situations. The world often judges without understanding. It assumes poverty is failure. It assumes struggle means weakness. But Celeste's story revealed something different. She had never stopped fighting. She had never stopped loving her daughter. She had simply run out of options. Over the following months, Alden used his resources to help Celeste rebuild her life. He arranged housing, healthcare support, and employment opportunities that allowed her to regain stability with dignity. Slowly, hope returned. Marisol began attending school regularly. Her smile grew brighter. The fear that once filled her eyes gradually disappeared. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened within Alden himself, helping them heal parts of his own heart. The loneliness he carried after losing his wife no longer felt quite as overwhelming. Through acts of compassion, he rediscovered purpose. He learned that success meant far more than business achievements. It meant using blessings to lift others. One sunny afternoon nearly a year later, Alden watched Rowan and Marisol playing together in a park. Their laughter filled the air as colorful leaves drifted across the grass. For a moment, he thought about that Christmas Eve, the pile of trash, the freezing wind, the sleeping child nobody noticed. Had he chosen a different street that day, their lives might never have crossed paths, yet fate had placed them there at exactly the right moment. If this story has touched your heart, please like, comment, and share this video. Your engagement helps inspiring stories reach people who may need hope today. And now, a special request: comment below with the words, "Kindness changes lives," if you believe one small act of compassion can create a miracle. As the sun set behind the trees, Alden realized something beautiful. Christmas miracles are not always wrapped in shiny paper beneath decorated trees. Sometimes they are hidden in forgotten places, waiting for someone willing to stop, care, and act. Sometimes the greatest gift is not receiving help but becoming the person who gives it. And sometimes, a little girl sleeping on a pile of trash can remind the world that hope is never truly lost as long as kindness still exists. That Christmas Eve, Alden thought he was rescuing a child. In truth, they ended up rescuing each other, and that became the greatest miracle of all.